Yo, my peoples, what's up? My name is Jason, and I'm from the Every Night is Game Night podcast. And I have something a lot different for you today. Different for me, anyway. I'm usually doing a podcast, but I've been playing a game, and I've been playing and playing. I've been really having a lot of fun with this thing, and I figured, why not? I am having so much fun. I am going to try to do a playthrough. Straight up playthrough from beginning to end, and it is of Call to Adventure, the Stormlight Archive. This is the first standalone expansion to Call to Adventure. It is based on the novel series, The Stormlight Archive from Brandon Sanderson. I'm a huge fantasy buff, so this playthrough is going to have a lot of elements of role-playing as well as demonstrating the gameplay. So I get a little bit, have a little bit of fun with that. I hope that everybody that is watching has a lot of fun with that with me as well. I just wanted to give a quick heads up about the background for the Stormlight Archive. You definitely don't need it. It maps onto a standard fantasy trope pretty well, and it does give you kind of fill in some basic gaps in terms of what you need to know in order to get into the particular world. Which I'm a huge fan of that. I love getting into like kind of the actual nuts and bolts of different settings. So in this world, I'm playing a budding Knight Radiant. So the Knights Radiant were a very ancient order of fantasy superheroes, so to speak, fantasy holy warriors who defended the land and defended against evil of all and evil of all types, and kind of kept the looming uber evil at bay. But then thousands of years ago, they kind of jerked the duty, and they disappeared from Roshar, which is the planet where the Stormlight Archive takes place. So their name is kind of mud throughout the world, but the Knights Radiant are now reawakening, and in response to the reemergence of this looming evil threat, which the game does identify as odium, a force of chaos and that kind of thing. So then I am playing this Knight Radiant. I eventually meet something that's called a Spren. Sprens are kind of fantasy fairy, so to speak, and it's the bond between the Spren and the Knight Radiant and the person that becomes the Knight Radiant. It's kind of like it's almost like Brandon Sanderson wanted to create a series of buddy cop situations. Spren human, Spren human, Spren human, and there you go. So we have a bunch of heroes that are just kind of like 2 for 1. So to speak. So there's a lot else going on. I hope that I do a decent job kind of explaining the rest of it as I go, but just want to kind of get that out of the way as a framework for what you're going to see and hear. So without further ado, let's get to the table, and I will show you a playthrough of Call to Adventure, the Stormlight Archive. All right, I am here at the table, ready to demonstrate for you Call to Adventure, the Stormlight Archive. So the Stormlight Archive is a novel series based on Brandon Sanderson, as I explained in the intro. It is the first standalone expansion, so everything that you see here comes in the box. I did not use any of the components from Call to Adventure, except maybe these experience tokens. They're a little bit nicer in the base box than I got in the expansion. This is a little bit more heavier stock as well, so I just kind of nipped that. But for the most part, everything that you need to play the Stormlight Archive version of Call to Adventure is in that one box. Okay, so I've laid out what a full game would look like. So this is the player board, and in a competitive or cooperative game, there would be player boards around, and we would all be going through the adventure. We'd be starting with the main field of adventure over here. This is Act 1, and then we'd be proceeding to Act 2, and then Act 3. In a solo game, you do the same things. However, you only go through one act at a time in solo. So I'm going to be just doing a really quick edit, and I'll come back and I'll only have Act 1 laid out to make the solo game a little bit easier to see. All right, so we are back, and let's get started explaining everything that you're seeing and then get to playing. So this is where the main action occurs, which is the character. This is the character you're going to be developing throughout the game by adventures, but the basic framework of the character is possessed in these sets of cards. This is your origin, your motivation, and your destiny. So it just kind of like, in order to really appropriate yourself and really get engaged with the game, you have to really engage with this. Let the cards guide you in terms of your development and your imagination. So I'll get to these in just a second. I'm just going to explain very quickly what the other elements are. So this is your morality track. So obviously you start off as pretty good, kind of going back and forth. As you get more virtuous, that events in the game will trigger that. You'll get more points, and you'll be able to play these hero cards. So hero cards are white, and I happen to start with one right here. As you go down, different events in the game will make you a little bit more vicious, a little bit more in the thrall of odium. Then you will obviously, get more corrupt. You'll initially gain some more, but as you fall to the dark side, you'll eventually lose points. And as you do get more vicious, then you will begin to unlock access to anti-hero cards, which have slightly different effects. So these are the experience, and I will be rolling dice. This is a very roll-heavy game. Yes, these are dice. These are more like tiles. You kind of roll in them bones, so to speak. And you can get upgraded versions, and I'm going to have those over here. Finally, there's the enemy, and the enemy is over here. This is the scenario. There's a couple of scenarios. We're going to play with the suggested scenario, which is Radiance United. The first suggested scenario has an effect set up, and I'll show you that in a second. And once we're done, we are going to be facing this guy. Ooh, Odium. We will get to him when we get to him. Along the way, we are going to be triggering effects. This is Odium's deck, and this is his hit points. He starts off with 5 hit points. All right. So, I should probably actually talk about the field of play, which is the row of cards. So this is Act 1. These are the cards, and I will be engaging with those cards one at a time to kind of build up my character. All right, so let us get into actually crafting the character. So the way you set up is there are 3 decks, and you're going to get dealt 2 cards, and you get to choose which path you want to pursue. All right. So I have here student and healer. 2 things that I often am in games. I often play intelligent characters and healer characters. I'm going to use this opportunity because I know and love the Stormlight Archive. I think we're going to play more of a lore-based character, so I'm going to be the student. As a student, these runes over here, this tells me what upgraded quote-unquote dice that I get. So I'm going to get 2 of these, and I'm going to add those to my pool. Okay, so I'm going to get to my motivation. Kind of the things that kind of help me engage with the rest of the world. I look like I've pulled either a good path or a bad path. So one is trained by a master. The next is corrupted by odium. I think I'm going to try to play a good character this time because I am a goody two-shoes in my real life. Although it is fun, I have played a couple of games where I have tried to succumb to the dark side, which is can be its own fun. But for the purposes of this playthrough, I'm going to select trained by master. So I can already start in terms of crafting a character. So I am the youngest son of a minor noble house, and I have it in my head, in my brain, that I want to be a scholar. I want to, explore the lore of the land and learn as much as I can. However, because it is a martial society, and they want to be able, my family wants to be able to, have glory and all that kind of thing, I have been shipped off. And I'm going to be trained by a master against my will. So I'm going to learn swordplay, even though in my heart of hearts, I would like to be in the books, pretending to be a scholar. And actually, it is significant in this picture. These are 2 women. In the Stormlight Archive, the men don't read. It's usually the women that are in charge of reading, disseminating information, gathering information, writing lore. All that is considered feminine. So I am, as a male character that I'm going to be playing, I am really going against the grain over here. Wanting to be a student, but being forced into learning how to engage in sword play. So what is my ultimate destiny? So I actually did pre-pick a couple of these because the Radiant United scenario does dictate that I choose a Radiant path. So I chose two Radiant paths over here. I can either be a Skybreaker or a Lightweaver. Skybreaker, as you can see, a little bit more of a martial path. Lightweaver is more of a magical path. In the books, the Lightweaver is like an illusionist, so to speak. So that sounds like fun. I'm going to be a Lightweaver. And because I'm not a superhero yet, because I'm still a weenie, and I haven't even passed martial training yet, I don't have access to this. I will get access to it during the third act. All right, so now I'm ready to begin the Stormlight Archive Call to Adventure. All right, we are ready to rock and roll, strut and stroll. We are going to get started with our playthrough of Call to Adventure, the Stormlight Archive. Okay, so very basically, what we're going to be doing, or what I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to be collecting sets. It's a set collection game at the end of the day. So what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to take a card just for purposes of demonstration. I'm not going to pick this card yet, but just for just show you guys what I'm talking about. So what I want to do at the very beginning is I want to build my tile pool or dice pool. So like I got this one specialist die or specialist tile, and this is one success. This is two. My other dice are a little bit worse than that. And I want to build more dice with the tiles that I'm going to get over here. So, there I go. There's my finger right there. I want to pick cards that let me build my tile pool. So let's go ahead and check that out. I'll show you what this back card means in a second. But the front card, story element. So this is like a border skirmish. And it will, if I attempt it, it will be difficulty 4, and I can use these specialist die in order to complete the thing. But before I roll, I'm going to be choosing one of two paths. And in this one, it's like desert the army or protect my squad. Obviously, you can see, they're kind of like molding your story choices along the way in terms of the story prompts. So then if I were to achieve success, I would get this specialist, another specialist tile, which would build my dice pool, and I would get a symbol. Both of these things offer symbols. That's just for points purposes and, to kind of shape the story along the way. This is the villainy symbol. So obviously if I'm deserting the army, it's not great. Okay, so then the second thing that I can show you is this is the ally. Allies never appear by themselves. They do add to the difficulty of the basic task, and also give you a power if you achieve what the object is. I can fit 3 of them on the origin, on the motivation, and on the destiny. Look what I'm talking about. So I'm going to be choosing my first one and then going from there. Cool. Okay, so my story is that I'm a student and I'm being trained by a master, but I'm being trained against my will. I'm stuck there. I've been banished by my family. So I think that a natural first step for me would be to get the heck out of there. Woo! Look at that. I got a card called On the Run. So I'm going to get out of here. So it does check my wisdom. I do have a wisdom tile to throw, so it increases my odds. And looking at the 2 paths over here, it looks like I can take the path of leave no one behind. Not only do I want to get away from the master, apparently this master is involved in some shenanigans. I have discovered that he is working for some rival noble house. He is, he has access to all of these noble children, and he is pumping us for information and selling it. And so I don't want that. I want to get away from the shady character. And I want to get the other people who are here against their will away from this character as well. So I'm going to rescue a lot of people. Makes it more difficult. So 4 + 1 is 5, which would be a difficult roll for me. It is a radiant path, though, so I'll get that symbol, and I will get this tile in my pool if I were to succeed. So I'm going to collect my tiles. I'm going to interchangeably call those dice and tiles as the playthrough goes on. They do the same thing. I have 4. I have 1 good one. I have 3 decent ones. That's really not enough to achieve the success that I want, but I have a few options. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to play a card. The only card I have, Fervent Prayer. Play before any hero attempts a radiant path, which I'm going to do. If it is my turn, gain +1 in your attempt. I will do that. Great. Second thing I'm going to do, again, rich with story, I am going to call upon, in the books, they call it the thrill. It's kind of this extra level of gumption, this extra level of, adrenaline and excitement. However, by pulling upon that, I'm touching upon odium. So I am risking, so I'm going to pay an experience point. I'm going to get another die in my pool. This is a success. This would be 2 successes with 2 points. However, if I rolled this, I would get down on the corruption track. So I got some feeling a little bit better. This and a +1. So let me see how I roll, and we'll see what happens. All right, voila, dice tray. Here you go. Let's go and roll them bones. Oh, that is not the best roll that I could have made. Okay, so a bunch of things happen at once. Okay, so first of all, I needed 5 because it is 4 + 1 is 5. Right now I have 4, so I got 2 from the corruption track. I'm just going to do this right now. I'm going to corrupt myself a little bit more. Oh, did not want to do that, but that's that's the exposure that you get. This is actually a symbol that means 2 successes, so this is 1, this is 2, which is good. Not only was it 2 successes, I get an experience point because of my student path. My student path says when I roll those 2 symbols, gain an experience. Great, I get the experience that I missed out on. However, I missed the roll because I rolled 4 instead of 5. And I also rolled this symbol. So this symbol means I get a card, which is a good thing. That is a good thing. I'm going to go... actually, it's good because sometimes these cards let you turn successes or like retry things. So maybe I'll get a card that says that. Fervent Prayer, play this before any hero attempts. Oh, it's the same card I just got before. That's not going to help me. So it looks like I'm going to fail this path. Okay. Let's see. So the next thing that happens is actually this symbol over here also means that odium gets to pull a card. Play this as any hero attempt to challenge. They gain a +1. Ooh, wait a minute. They gain +1 to the attempt for every moon they choose to gain. So I actually gained a moon during that roll. So that would put me at +5. So yeah, I think that I win. So it comes at a cost, right? So like according to the odium card, so the deck is set up so that it did benefit me, but it gave odium another hit point, another point of power. The Radiance United card says whenever a hero gains moon or fails a challenge, he gains a hit point. I gained moon. I make him a little bit more powerful. However, he made me a little bit more powerful. I turn a 4 into a 5, and I just make it because I had rolled 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. Oh, wait a minute. I had Fervent Prayer going. I did succeed. I totally forgot that I had Fervent Prayer going. That would give me a +1. Oh, wait a minute. This was the one that I had played. So that was 5. And yeah, I did succeed. So that was cool. All right. So I escaped justice. I left no one behind. And I get to place this under my card. I now have a radiant icon. If I collect more of those icons, I get points. Because I collected a radiant icon, whenever I add a path to the hero story, I lose. Or odium loses a hit point. So he thought he was slick, trying to help me out, corrupting me, but I got the last laugh on him, and I was able to add to my story. That's excellent. Cool. So then I get that, and I get to pick my second dice that I'm going to add. Excellent. That worked out for me. And I have successfully escaped from the master who was doing bad things, and now I'm on the way. All right. Cool. So now I'm going to do a second thing in Act 1. I get to add 3 cards to my origin until I move on to the second act. So I'm going to add a second card. All right. So as I look, I think the choice is pretty obvious at this point, and it lets me show you another type of card. The card that I did was a challenge. And now this card is called a trait. It's a card that I can acquire basically with preconditions. So this card says you may gain this trait if you spend 2 experience or if you attempted a radiant path on your previous turn. I certainly attempted a radiant path on my previous turn. It was difficult, but I'm a hero, so I'm going to get myself going there. And it is a Spren. Spren bond. Spren is a fairy. Basically a fairy in the Stormlight Archive. They're the things, the entities that Radiants need to bond with in order to get more powerful. And Sprens are very, very cute. So this one, this one reminds me of, I don't know, so I am, my daughter watches a TV show called The PJ Masks, so I think I'm going to name this Spren Matsuki. So Matsuki, she has joined me. Hey, you are now a Radiant. You are in Path of Radiant. You have impressed me, and now I'm going to help you. Yay! Excellent. I now have a Spren. Hopefully that voice doesn't get too annoying by the end of this. Okay, so I've now acquired 2 things. 2 cards for my origin, and I get to pull another hero card. Sweet. Stormlight. Choose any hero to gain experience. Awesome. So experience is always good to get. All right. So I am sitting pretty. I'm doing pretty good. I'm well on the way of my radiant path. Don't see another radiant path over here, but so what should I do? So I can go apply to be a ward. So this one over here seems like a pretty easy one. 3 is a pretty easy number to meet. And it would get me another intelligence symbol, which would be not a bad thing. Or I can go for it again. Why not? And I can, so let's say I was trained by my master. I now have a Spren bond. The Spren, one of the things that fairies can generally do in the Stormlight Archive is become like giant swords. So I might be tempted to engage in a border skirmish. And this card behind here is an ally. I may just do this just to kind of explore more of the game. I think I'm going to go for this one. So allies, they just kind of add to the challenge and they give you a little power if you get it. So why not? I have been kind of aiming high with this playthrough, so let us aim high for the last card of this series. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to engage in a border skirmish. It is scary. I keep on not learning my lesson. I am absolutely not learning my lesson. I am not made for combat. So I get there and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to use this new sword thing I have. And I'm going to just desert. Bye. All right. So I collect there, and I collect my dice. Okay. Here I am. I get my base dice, and I also get the intelligence dice over here. And since this is a sword path, so I can use either of these 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my motivation power, which is once per turn I could spend an experience to gain a sword dice. So I'm going to spend an experience, increase my odds. And now I get to roll these 5, hopefully. My odds of rolling a 5 are pretty low. So I want to tempt fate again. Ooh, I don't think either of these cards are going to help me. Do I want to tempt fate yet again and become more corrupt? I don't think so. I'm going to trust in luck. The odds aren't that great, but I'm going to trust in luck. All right, so I am ready to roll. I am going to the army, but I'm going to desert it immediately because battle's not for me. Let's see if I can get out of there. Whoa, look at that. I got pretty lucky over here. So the reason I went for it was there is a... so this symbol means 2 successes, and so does this symbol over here, and I got 1 symbol over here, which is an additional success. That's 5, and that is exactly what I needed. Well, we'll see what happens. I did roll a little bit of a surprise over here. I'm not sure what that card is doing over there. That must be from a different time, a different time period. Okay, I have these 2 cards. So I rolled this, and this might be my undoing. I'm not really sure. We'll see. Okay, so I get a card. I could have picked either of the cards. I'm going to pick a hero card because I'm eventually going to try to get myself uncorrupt because I'm a Radiant. So play this as any hero attempts a challenge. I already attempted a challenge, so I'm just going to hold off on that one. Let's see what the card deck over here says. Anytime I roll this, whether I'm rolling the dark dice or not, I have to pull from this deck. Play as a hero, attempts a challenge. That challenge has +1. Oh no, I've been hit with the Everstorm. So not only was this border skirmish occurring on the fields, now a giant storm, and Everstorms are magical storms, pelted us with stormlight, with rocks, with all this nastiness, and turned my success into a failure. So at this point, I would hopefully have had cards or some kind of other ability to counteract that bit of terrible luck. But the cards that I have so far, I needed to have played them at the beginning. I fail. Womp womp. I attempted to desert the army, but it did not work out for me. And because I failed, I could have met my betrothed. Maybe that was the reason I decided to go onto the army. I met a fetching female who would have been a nice match for me. But it is not to be. Okay. All right. So, in the words of the immortal Archbishop Desmond Tutu, you do not fail. You either win or you learn. I clearly did not win, so I learned. I get another experience point. Okay. Onwards and outwards. So it looks like I have pulled a trait. So this is the Scholar trait. And this will be a pretty good match for me because it would add to my intelligence pool. But the power isn't that great. If you have a arcane symbol, when you get this trait, gain another card. So it'd just be a free symbol. I don't know if that's too exciting. I can also apply to be a ward. So this one would also be kind of in my wheelhouse a little bit and also fitting with my character. But it would basically be a roll to get the same thing. There's not really an extra benefit to it. I'm not loving the options over here. I'm going to be adventurous, and also I'm going to explore mechanisms for you guys. I'm going to do a journey. So what I can do is I can take this experience point, ditch it, get to pick a card, get rid of it, and turn over another card. Ooh, okay. I think the game is telling me something. I think the game is telling me to not fight. It has given me a scholar's path. So it says study at the Planium for an Arcana symbol and a intelligence dice, or I can study to be a surgeon for, I think this is like a glory symbol, and get a wisdom. And it's actually pretty attractive because it says that I can use both of these dice to attempt it. So it's a really, really good chance for me because I already have some advanced dice. I think I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to go for the top one. I think that Arcana might be a good path for me. All right, let us go get the dice tray and see how I do. Oh, there it is. There's my dice tray again. I have 6 whole tokens or whatever you call these tiles to roll. I like my odds. Let's what I want to do is I want to just get my item, move on to the second act, and avoid triggering odium. All right. Wow. So I definitely avoided odium. Which one was that one? There you go. I could have rolled that, but I rolled the success instead. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plenty of time. And I also got another experience because according to my origin, if I roll that symbol, I get an experience. Excellent. Couldn't have gone better. Cool. So I didn't have to pull. And I get to slide that over here. Oh, wait a minute. I cheated. I should not have rolled this extra symbol over here. Now, I think I was thinking a little bit ahead over there, but I still have 5 successes, so I'm going to count that. And now I get to officially add this tile to my pile over here. So ordinarily, I would turn over the next card, pass to the next player, and continue Act 1. But because I have completed my origin, I have some symbols, I'm feeling pretty good about things, I get to progress to Act 2. And I'm going to lay that out for you guys right now. All right, now I am on to Act 2. So let's set the scene a little bit. So the first scene, I was, wherever I was, my hometown, little podunk town. Got trained in the military against my will, tried to have some impressive martial adventures, failed miserably, but I was able to impress my friend, whose name is Matsuki, because I wanted to be Matsuki. And I have my spren. She turns into a great sword. I tried my hand with this great sword. I failed miserably at that one too. But I have learned and I've become a scholar. And even though I am a male scholar in a world that shuns male scholars, all the scholars are female, I have decided to blaze my path. And I have earned my way to Act 2. And in Act 2, I imagine that I am now away from my podunk town, and I am now in the Alethi war camps. So the Alethi war camps are organized, as I said before, it is a giant war between the Alethi, which are the biggest armies in the land, and they are going up against the Parshendi, which are basically, the equivalent of like native folks. If you imagine like the story of Frozen, Frozen 2, you had the civilized quote unquote versus the more nature oriented, kind of like that, if you could imagine that scenario. So if you could imagine on the Alethi side, because they are, the forces of quote unquote civilization, it is a massive war camp. It is tents upon tents upon tents. It is different nobles who have organized their personal armies. So you see, tents over here that represent, the strictest of martial discipline. You have tents over here that are just like, covered and slave warriors and captured warriors and just like, the riffraff of society. You have another tent city over there that is like the Merchants Guild. And there's so much to see. I've never seen anything before like this in my entire life. I don't even know. I'm way over my head. But I have been drafted into the Alethi war camps to make my contribution one way or the other. So that is what I'm going to do. So I look at my options over here. So obviously, in game perspective, I want to try to line things up with my stats. Because I don't just want to like roll for nothing and just roll, just base dice and have no chance of success. So I'm obviously drawn towards paths where I actually have a chance at winning. So I am going to look at this path, which is track a great shell. I am curious. I have an academic curiosity, and I noticed that some gleaming warrior has challenged this great shell, and I am going to hide like a weenie behind that great. And once he takes the great shell down, I'm going to try to go inside of his gullet over here and inspect his heart. All right, so I am going to, but I'm not actually going to do that. I am going to just track it. So I'm going to take the wisdom path. I have 2 wisdom dice, and it gets me an extra victory point if I were to succeed. Let us see how I do. Let me organize this a little bit better. Let's just see how I do rolling them bones. Oh, there it is. The dice tray of magic that I could make poof appear right in front of you. So I'm going to roll 5. 5 tiles, not to most terrific odds, but I don't want to spend any of my resources on something that doesn't really get me closer to being a radiant or like kind of really achieving my goals. So I'm just going to try my luck to track a great shell as is. Ooh, that one is cocked. Take my word for it. So hopefully this will give me what I want. And yep, there I go. Okay, so it didn't matter if it was cocked, then it would have been 1 or 2 successes. Actually, this was worse for me because I didn't get the experience point extra, but I did win the roll, and I did not trigger odium over here. So that is a success all around. So I have successfully tracked the great shell. In my scholarly pursuits, I have learned about the massive being, and I have inspected and I have found that it contains a mighty gem heart, which, because the Alethi are greedy and they're fighting for these things, the Alethi have basically carved this thing up, excavated all of the precious jewels. These things actually have jewels on the inside of them. They have excavated the precious jewels and kept them all for themselves. Man, those greedy Alethi, they are not making a good show of themselves. They are completely ravaging the countryside, destroying all these majestic beings. As much as I am an Alethi and I want to love, my country, I'm starting to see that what are we here for? I thought we were here to avenge our king, and I thought we were here to, fight for the honor of the Alethi. But meanwhile, we're just here tracking monsters and stealing their hearts and selling them on the open market. Is that what this is for? I don't know. Let's find out. All right, so that was the first one. So let's turn over that card. Ooh. Okay. This was, looks like it's addiction. Hoo-hoo. So that is the see me underside. So this is another thing that we have to encounter in a Lethe culture. Yeah, you would think in a typical fantasy setting, have like the virtuous kingdom over here, but not the Lethe, not in the Stormlight Archive. There is a lot of kind of not so great stuff that is happening underneath the surface, and that card is definitely one of them. I'm definitely drawn to that. Let's follow that story of my hero over here, who is slowly but surely, started off as a little bit of an idealist, but is slowly seeing the seamy underbelly of what's going on here. And because I'm so disillusioned by what's going on, I have drowned myself in what looks like some herbal substance, and now I am struggling with addiction. That is not a good thing to be struggling with. So I'm going to try to overcome my problems. So I have, the last roll that I made, I actually got this special, the last, green symbol, so I'll actually be rolling 3. You can only get 3 of any symbol. So earning this, I think I'm going to go for the bottom. This would be redundant. Let me check usually there's some kind of like scoring system, but not for Greek. So I'm just going to get it anyway because I do want the extra radiant symbol. I think the radiant symbol will be really good. And also getting a radiant symbol, acquiring one, will injure Odium. Yes, I realize I should have injured him for acquiring the Spren Bond, but retcon, I'm not going to retcon that one. I deserve that. All right, so, there it is, my dice tray again. So I'm going to go to try to kick my addiction. It is a score 4. I get to use my wisdom dice, and I'm taking the harder path, which means not only am I going to try to kick my addiction, with my own natural will and everything, I'm going to try to take the radiant path, which means I can imagine my spren, Matsuki. She has come. She descends upon me. I'm in the gutter. I'm in despair. And my spren just whispers in my ear, "You're better than this. You cannot succumb to despair. You have been called. There is a greater enemy on the horizon. We need every radiant to step up and embrace their destiny." And I go, huh? Let's see if I can kick my addiction with that little rousing speech. Ooh, all right. Okay, so most important thing for me, I did not trigger Odium. Once again, that's great. Second thing, I have acquired an experience point based on my origin story. And, I only did 5. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5. This symbol over here normally would be really annoying because it's 0 successes. However, because it's an open triangle, I get another card. The next ideal. I like that. It triggers on radiance. So I am really stocking up on radiant stuff over here. Okay. And this was a little bit of a retcon over here. He had 5 hit points. I acquired a radiant path, and now I have 4. Okay. Success. I am starting to realize my destiny as a radiant. Looks like I'm not going to follow the Lethe path. Looks like I've been convinced of their corruption and corrupt stuff, that they're just in for it for, funds and games, and they're not, seeking vengeance or a higher ideal. So looks like I'm on my own. Ooh, okay. So this is a child. This is an ally card. It would give me some extra benefits if I were to pursue one of the harder paths, which is good. You get an ally card, and it just kind of like floats there. You have to draw another one. Ooh. The Lost City. Oh. And I get to use my intelligence over here, looking at the other options. I think I want to go for the Lost City. So if I look at the bottom over here, I'd be improving my intelligence, which is a good thing. I always want to do that. I get a card, which I could play because I'm kind of in the middle morality-wise. I would get another symbol because I do have I'm definitely going to go for this one. I have an arcade symbol. I can get to match it up with another arcane symbol that doubles up on points. But in story terms, it looks like I have become so disenchanted with the Alethi that I have set off on my own. In my reading, I have tried to figure out the deeper meaning, the deeper purpose of this war with the Parshendi that we're engaged in. And in my reading, in my scholarship, I have seen that there is a lost city that is in the heart of the Parshendi Plains. It, somewhere in this lost city, contains the elements of, I don't know what it is. Maybe I can finally end this war. Maybe I can finally resolve the differences between the Parshendi and the Alethi and bring peace upon the land. I don't know. It seems so exciting. So how can I resist the lure of trying to find the lost city? So that's exactly what I am going to do. All right. So I'm going to find the lost city, or I'm going to uncover the secrets of the lost city. So I am, first of all, I'm going to actually play a card because I don't like my odds so far. I am going to play the next ideal. So the next ideal says play as any hero, attempt a challenge. They get a +1 for every radiant symbol they have, up to +4. I happen to have 3 symbols. I have one from the Spren card, which is buried under the dice tray right now. I also have one Spren card, trying to get my point thing under here. There we go. I also have 2 symbols over here, so I get an additional +3. So this is actually 5 + 1 because of the child, which is 6. I like my odds. I could play another card. I can't play this Fervent Prayer. I'll give it a go. I only need to roll 3. I have 5 little chips over here. Let's see if I can make that happen. Okay, great. That is a very, very good roll. I do get an experience point because I rolled that wand over there. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, and I add the next ideal, which gave me an additional 3. I beat this very, very easily. Okay, so then I am going to take that. I get the final chip over here, which is a good thing. Another advanced die. Give me 1 second over here. I'm gonna just combine all this, make it look nice and good for you guys, or as good as I can possibly make it with my left hand. Okay. Yeah, well, I would love another version of this game, a little bit of a deluxe thing where I had like a little bit more card sleeves and I can arrange it and make it all look pretty, but that's okay. Okay, so I discovered some secrets. I got that symbol, I got that dice, and I also got a dark card. Ooh, embrace the thrill. I can add a dark rune for free. Ooh, I may save that one for later. We'll see what happens. And I also get this. Child, whenever you choose these types of paths, gain an experience. If you are forced to sacrifice this ally, which some of the cards make you sacrifice allies, gain some corruption. I don't plan on sacrificing this child. For some reason, there was a babe lost in the woods. I'm going to imagine that this was a Parshendi. That this was, this is a very neat picture over here. But since I'm escaping the Alethi and I'm going towards the Lost City, I'm going to assume that is a small Parshendi who met me in the along the way. And because that Parshendi is tired of war too, believes that the Parshendi have kind of lost their way as well. They're pursuing war for, increasingly strange reasons. This Parshendi child has promised to take me to the Lost City and discover its secrets. So I am going to go over to from Act 2 to Act 3. In the meantime, the Parshendi child is going to inform me of what's going on that side. I'm going to tell them what's going on the Alethi side. And maybe together we can unlock the secret to everlasting peace in this land. Yeah, right. All right. I am now at the climax of our little saga in which we are engaging. We have found the Lost City. Me and the Parshendi child we are basically set up shop in the Lost City. The Lost City is a magical place. It's been lost for generations, at least to Alethi. And it has all sorts of secrets, all sorts of chambers. But as we are pluming its depths and trying to discover if there's any any keys to our salvation. Looks like the Alethi and the Parshendi, something has happened. What were skirmishes, along the battlefront has kind of broken down, and it sounds like the armies of the Alethi and the Parshendi have really massed, and they are going to just have a knockdown, drag out war, a battle right in the middle, right nearby where the lost city is. So, I'm starting to come into my own. I am now, thanks to the urging of my friend Mitsuki, she has empowered me. I have said some of the words. I have become, realized my destiny of being a light weaver. So now I have an additional symbol, and it's a good thing that I have 1, 2, 3 symbols before, because it does unlock my power, which is if you have 4 radiant symbols, which I do, once per turn, I can spend experience, which I have been gaining, and I've not been very careful to, not spend my experience rolling the, or calling forth upon the dark dice. So I wanted to save it. So I may spend an experience to draw a card, or give another hero a sun, which means draw a card for me. And I also get some points at the end of the game. Okay. All right. So now, so that's that. I have now realized I'm now kind of one step closer to being a full radiant, a full light weaver. Now it's a good time. It's a good thing that I haven't covered that particular path, because I've stepped up in complexity. So I have here, you have some big gnarly monsters. If I wanted to travel to the upside down world, called Shademar, the cognitive realm. If you are a fan of Stranger Things, think basically the upside down world, kind of a parallel universe. Oh no, Reshapir. We might get to Reshapir in a little bit. But definitely the numbers are higher and the threats are bigger, and there's lots and lots of stuff going on. So the war is crashing down. What is my poor hero, my nameless hero so far, going to do? I think we established in the first act that I am not built for war at all. So I think I'm going to instead try to plug into the life force of the Lost City and see into the future. This seems like a good warm-up. It does get me an arcane symbol, which I have 2 of them. Really, if you get 4 of them, that's where you get the maximum point value. And it also gives me 2, these points are worth the same as the light points. So it gives me some points, and also gives me the symbol. This symbol doesn't do anything for me because I already have 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Doesn't do anything for me dice-wise, but it does add points because of the light weaver thing. The points don't really matter. It's just, how awesome did you do? Just a way to measure yourself. So why not? I am going to attempt to plug into plume the depths of the Lost City, find if there is anything in the past that might affect our future. Let's take a look. All right, so let us take a look over here. Okay, I got my dice tray over here. Boom, there it is. I am going to use her power, my light weaver power. I'm going to spend an experience and draw a light card. Let's see what I get. Another fervent prayer. I've used 2 of those, and I have 2 of those. Man, I'm almost tempted to redraw, but yeah, whatever. I'll just ride with it. Not useful here because I'm not trying a radiant path, so I guess I will. 6 is it's kind of it's a little tricky. I definitely don't want to go without a little bit of backups. This might be a little bit. You know what? I think I'm. No, I was being tempted by Odium. This Odium is peeking his head over here. Oh, you must use me. You must use my power. I will resist. I will not use. I have enough power off of cards and all that kind of thing. Let's see. I can only use that. I'm going to use my fervent prayer for just a +1. Actually, no, I can't. It has to be a radiant path. So I'm just going to roll and see how it goes. What's the worst that can happen, right? I'm rolling a 6. Whoa! Okay. Wow, that really came through for me. Not only did I not trigger Odium, I got, this is worth 2 and this is worth 3. So that's 2, 4, 7, 8, 9. Good thing I rolled that. If I rolled the other side, it would have been a nothing and a card, but I did get a success, and I was able to see the future. So I have gone down into the depths of the Lost City, and I have found some murals in the world of the Stormlight Archive. It is a very, very old world. And, so like cycles and patterns kind of reassert themselves. So apparently I have seen, radiance rise and see what's going on with them. And I have begun to unlock what I can do in order to kind of facilitate some wins over here. So, okay, I see the future. And the future is, I'm not really sure yet, huh? Although I do see a potential path. So I'm looking at what's over here and I'm looking at what's next. It looks like I have found, I know I'm going to pull this card, but I'm looking at what I have available over here. Ooh, I have plumbed the depths over here, and this is what I have found. I have found an unmade. Ugh. Deeper in the shadows of the Lost City, seemingly there is an entity that is emanating hatred, that is emanating corruption. And it seems like, I'm not really sure how they're related, but it seems like this entity of corruption is somehow affecting both the Alethi and the Parshendi and making them go to war. I knew it didn't make sense. I knew that, I didn't think that they were totally corrupt and, there must have been something external, and it sounds like I have discovered it. So I think I'm going to face Reshapir for my next thing, but I'm going to turn it over. No! Ooh, before I face Reshapir, though. I'm going to have to deal with this, guys. I'm going to have to deal with this. The Skybreaker has shown up. This is the Herald of Justice, who in the books is called Nail. Nale, Nail, or something like that. I'm going to call him Nail because that's a pretty bad name. Bad in a good way. So this is the Herald of Justice. He has shown up, and so Nail in the story, I can imagine that I've seen the future, then I turn around and oh my God, there is this scary looking man. And the man looks down at me and he says, "What are you doing? Your actions are bringing about the end of the world. You're bringing about the desolation, the true desolation. You must stop right now. You must turn away. You must turn back." And oh, look at that. Nail seems to have shaken the camera. Let's get back to it. You must turn back. You must lay down your magic, your radiance. You cannot pursue this path, or I must end your path for you. Oh no, my friend is reacting to Nail, who is the Herald of Justice. According to the lore of the Stormlight Archive, the Heralds are ancient beings, and they are the ones that gave the Radiants their power in the first place. So not only are they Radiants, like, holy warriors, they're above, they're almost demigods. Nail is thousands of years old, and the fact that he and I are in the chamber just alone is not good news for me. Oh boy. But I've seen the future. I've seen that this pattern will repeat over and over again. I have seen that there is an unmade inside of the Lost City that is causing this war. So I cannot stray no matter what this herald is saying to me. So I have to fight it. Let's see if I can actually defeat this thing. Oh, all right. I'm a little bit nervous over here. But I have to do it. I have to take down this Tyrant of Justice. And so it looks like the bottom option over here is Serve Nail, which would be a Radiant path, which would unlock a couple of cards. But I think for story purposes, I'm not going to pursue that. I don't think I can Serve Nail at this point. I think I need to resist him. He's trying to stop, my efforts to bring peace. He seemed to think, Nail seemed to think by just letting the Alethi and the Parshendi, engage in war and letting the Unmade, which is the servant of Odium, exert their influence, that he seems to think that is going to establish some kind of justice in the world. And I just don't agree. Even though he's a herald, they're not omniscient. They're not gods. They don't know everything. So I have to get my mettle together and fight him. So I will pursue survive the Skybreaker. So I'm not going to kill him because he is a mortal entity, but I can at least survive him. So a couple of things I have in my possession for in my benefit. I have the child. The child, whenever I pursue a path of victory points, I gain an experience. That experience I'm going to spend due to my Lightweaver to draw a card. Stormlight. Choose any hero to gain experience. That hero may spend up to 3 experience to get Radiance. Yeah, that's not going to do me too much good. I already have as much Radiance as I'm going to need, or as I can get, because I have 4 of them. But I think I am going to use this card. The next ideal, I'm going to realize myself even more as an illusionist, as a Lightweaver. So I am going to gain a +1 for each Radiant for a maximum of +4. So let's give myself a +4 for that. There we go. And I'm not going to succumb to the allure of Odium. I'm not going to improve my my path from there. I'm just going to try to do the best that I can to nail this roll. Okay, so I have +4, plus what I roll here. All right, excellent. That's good. Okay, so I have 2, 5, 6, 7. So the 7, that actually matches the card right there, even without the +4. It's a good thing I had that behind me. So I'm going to get an experience point back for rolling that because of my origin. And unfortunately, let's put that back over here. Unfortunately, I did roll a card pull, so I'm going to pull another card, Brave Stand. I will actually definitely keep that. That's probably going to get used soon. And then I have to pull Odium. Let's see what he does to me. Play during this challenge, add a dark rune to the attempt. Okay. Put the dice tray back. So this could only help. It's not going to hurt me, but it might take me out of being able to use. Ooh. Okay, so I've been dancing on this long enough. I am now succumbing to the corruption, and I am becoming more like Odium. Unfortunately, that means that I no longer have access to my virtuous cards because of this symbol, but it was worth it to resist Nail. I've successfully resisted the Herald of Justice. I get to add that. That'll be points at the end of the game. There we go. And I also pull a useless card. Say the words. I think a lot of this depends on having radiant symbols, and I happen to have a lot of radiant symbols. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to play a lot of those cards. Okay, so I'm going to pull again. Serve the fused. The fused. Okay, so the fused in the lore are kind of like they're Parshendi, but they've made like a special deal. They're basically like the equivalent of Radiance, but for the Parshendi side. They're Parshendi, regular folks, but they've gotten kind of mutated and bonded with their version of Spren, which is what they call the fused. However, that seems like a dodge. It seems like I need to go deeper, and I need to actually engage the Unmade. It sounds like the Unmade is playing a large role in why we're fighting, so I have to go down and I have to beat it. I have 8 cards in my tableau. This will be my 9th card, which will trigger the end of the game. So let's see how I do. Oh, there it is. One more time, the dice tray. Actually, one more time for the main flow of the story. I am fighting or trying to resist Reshapir over here. Good thing for me that it requires intelligence and wisdom, which means I can roll all 9 of my dice. I need 7. I can't really use one of the pads over here. Well, my at least my good cards, but actually, you know what? I'm going to use my child ability to get another experience point. Experience points are also points at the end of the game because I'm using a radiant path. I'm not going to succumb to the thrill. I'm rolling 9 dice. Let's see if I can just get it off of the 9 dice. Looking pretty good. Okay, so I got 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 is good. And I also get an experience. I'm actually really piling up the experience because I triggered my origin. I still have to deal with this. So I'm actually going to pull from the dark deck Void Light for each dark victory point in their path. I don't think I have that, so I think that's going to be useful for me. But I do have to pull from Odium's deck. Play this as a hero. Attempt to challenge. They must sacrifice an ally unless they pay an experience. Oh, Parshendi boy. I'm going to save you, and I don't have to spend because I'm going to spend the experience, which is not a bad thing. It could have been bad, but, wow, looks like my, probably should have a better system for dealing with that. But I have called upon raw Stormlight. I have wielded the Stormlight, and I have called upon it to shower pure radiant energy upon Reshapir. Look, Reshapir, intentionally kind of evoking that Cthulhu-esque old god vibe. I have torn him, I think Reshapir is a her, but I have beamed holy light into the gullet of Reshapir. I cannot kill an old one just as I couldn't kill a herald, but I have chased her away, and peace seems to settle along the land. The earth isn't shaking as violently. The storm seems to have settled down. The distant cries of battle that I heard before seem to have faded. I may just have done it. I may have brought peace to the land one time.
You think you have brought peace, do you?
Uh-oh. The entire room disappears. You are standing in a sea of red and black. It is like nothing you've ever seen or experienced or read about. You know, somehow in the back of your mind, that this is all in your head. This isn't in reality. Nothing about the real world changed. There's something that is tugging at your bottom of your feet saying that you're still on the hard stone floor of the lost city, but somehow you've been transported. Now, behind you, you sense a presence. Odium.
You are very, very adorable in your attempt to destroy my plans. You have driven away one of my unmade. You have delayed the inevitable. Your efforts ultimately mean nothing. However, you have shown yourself powerful, of a free mind. You will not fall prey to the Alethi and their propaganda. You will not take part in the Parshendi barbarism. You have risen above, and you may be one day worthy to serve me.
Uh-oh. What am I going to do? This is odium. This is way beyond even the nail who I barely survived by the skin of my teeth. However, one thing that I have read, and thank goodness I'm a scholar or else I'd never know this, odium is trapped. Long ago, the gods are always fighting, and Odium was trapped, imprisoned in a faraway world, and he could only affect this world in slivers, in splinters. He is not really here. I have a chance to finally resist him. Let's see if I can do just that. All right, here it is, the final battle versus Odium. I have to beat a 9 challenge. And luckily for me, unfortunately, I can't use my cool radiant powers because I'm too corrupt. The cards, at least, my virtuous cards, but I get to roll my 2 best ability dice, which is intelligence and wisdom. I made sure to build up those pools as I went. Let's see what I can do. Looks like 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I beat the 9. I needed that to start wailing away at his hit points. So 9, 10, 11. Odium, you have been banished back from the hell from whence you came.
Oh, I'll get you during the sequel.
And I have won my playthrough of Call to Adventure, the Stormlight Archive. All that is left to do is add up the score. All right. So like I said, this is the type of game where you play it really for the experience of it. But, when the score is there. So, people are interested in that. So I'm going to see if I can count up how successful I was. So you get to use this handy dandy score sheet, which I will be using to track my score. Just kind of follow along with that. So I'm going to add together the victory and the, I don't know what these called. Like I like to call them virtue and vicious points. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 from the cards that I played. I'm just going to add up. There's a separate pile, but I'm just going to add those up and call that 17 points. Okay. Actually, I'm going to take these out just for clarity purposes. So we're going to add that up again. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. Between the two of these. Okay. I'm also going to add up my experience. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So that makes 20. So I got 4 points for using cards. I could have gotten a lot more. Just the cards didn't really fall my way, but that's okay. So 4, 24. And then story icons, I got a lot of points from those. So I got 1, 2, 3 story icons, which apparently is worth 4 points. So I'll take that. But then I also have the radiant icons. So 1, 2, 3, 4 radiant icons. That's 8 points. So we're going to make that a 12. And I also got points off of the Lightweaver card. So at the end of the game, gain 1 point for each intelligence. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 intelligence points for a total of 5 points. So then that is 4 plus 8 is 12, plus 5 is 17, 24 plus 17 is 41. So looks like 41 is my final score. Is that a good score? I actually have no idea. They don't list, how solo modes usually have a scoring column, a scoring kind of chart saying, a 0 is a squire and then a landed knight and, that kind of evaluating yourself. I don't have that. They don't have that in the thing. I'm going to say that 41 is a good score. So yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Also this track over here. So we're going to call that 45. Okay, 45 points. And that's it. That is the Call to Adventure Stormlight Archive. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this playthrough. This is Jason signing off. Later, everybody.